Hey, keep your nose off of that. Despite Izzy's best efforts to stop me, I'm going to be drawing the Zentangle pattern henna drum today. So I'm going to be doing things a little bit different today. I'm adding a voiceover track to this whole video. If that's not your thing though, feel free to mute me. I promise it won't hurt my feelings. So where to even start? This is not my first attempt at creating a video on henna drum. The first attempt went horribly wrong. I got a new camera last week and I'm still learning how to use it. So, I've got that hurdle to jump. But then it came with this video editing software that when I first looked at it, I thought it was going to be amazing, but it turned out to be a total bust. So I went back to using Shotcut for editing, which is, nice and free, but it's also very unstable, and it crashed. And literally the only thing it auto-saved was the name of the project file. So I walked away last night and, didn't look at things again until this morning. And at that point, I just decided to scrap the footage I had and start over. I found henna drum while browsing tanglepatterns.com. I'll drop a link to the step-by-step instructions for drawing it in the description if you want to check those out. Because I will say that I'm not drawing it exactly as instructed, and a lot of the time, if something's not working for me, I'll alter it until I'm happy. So I feel like I kind of put it in the spiral pattern because I seem to be able to make those things work to my advantage a little more. So I'm just going to keep going with this pattern until I reach the end of my spiral. For those of you who are really just here to see Izzy, stick around. She'll make an appearance again later on in the video. I don't know what's changed. She never bothered me for most of the one Zentangle a day videos, but lately it's like she wants me to know that my desk is really her space and she's just kind enough to let me use it sometimes. Oh yeah, side note. Another reason the first henna drum Zentangle I tried to record didn't work. I was trying to talk as I drew, and it didn't work out for a couple of reasons. First, the brain tumor. Doing two things at once is extremely difficult for me, but also most of the audio track was just me swearing at Izzy to get off the desk. Izzy! Yeah, I'm bleeping the 4-letter words here on my channel. If you know me, you know that's not something I do in real life, but I find swearing really therapeutic, but I'm trying to keep the zen in Zentangle for everyone else. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was gonna say that lately I've started listening to music while I Zentangle. I listen to a lot of things. There's a channel on here called Stories that has some really nice tunes. It's various artists covering various artists. I recommend looking up Monica Martin's cover of Dylan's Don't Think Twice, It's Alright. Jenna Bell's version of Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun. It's amazing. And then George Crike's, if I'm saying that right, cover of Paul Simon's Duncan. The Stories channel is worth a subscribe, honestly. I mean, yeah, some of the covers are a little meh, but it's worth digging through the lineup for the really good stuff. Do you guys listen to anything while you Zentangle? Do you tend to go for stuff that's relaxing or upbeat? I don't just listen to mellow stuff. Like a few days ago, I set Pandora to play 80s pop music for a while because I fight fatigue a lot and noticed that bouncier music peps me up a little. Sure, Raspberry Beret may not be the best or the first song you think of pairing with your daily Zentangle practice, but it works for me. I'm also not into new age or ambient music myself, though sometimes I feel like that's what people are expecting. I'm not really into doing things just because that's what other people expect of me either. So, yeah. One thing I feel like I should maybe explain is that this whole voiceover thing is experimental. I wanted to give it a try because I thought maybe it would help set my channel apart. Give me something different to experience. Give people something different to experience than my usual time lapse, set to whatever royalty-free music I can find. I also thought it would help me to talk. One of the things that brain cancer has done to me is make it harder for me to speak. The tumor itself is taking up space on the pons of my brain. And one of the things the pons does is control breathing. So I find that when I talk, my voice tends to fade out toward the end. It's because I'm running out of breath before I finish a sentence or a thought. Before cancer, my body just knew how big a breath I needed to take to say something, I never had to think about it. That's not true for me anymore. It's like I have to consider the words I'm going to say, calculate the amount of air it will take to get them out, and remember what I want to say all the time. And chemo fog has just broken the part of me that can instantly turn thoughts into speech. It's frustrating. I've always hated talking on the phone, but now my cell phone company calculates how much I use the phone for phone calls. And last month I used 23 minutes, and a solid third of that time was honestly me listening to the whole music for Dick Van Dyke's Appliance World. But I'm getting off track. What I am trying to say is that I'm experimenting with the voiceover component because I think it might be more engaging, but also I think it might help me to talk more. I would get to practice speaking, maybe rewire my brain to make those connections a little better, but with the ability to edit the heck out of something if I don't like it. So, I'm giving it a try. Because I'll be honest, I feel like losing the power of the breath behind my voice makes me sound a little shaky and weak, and honestly, I hate it. Oops, I'll bleep that in post. Back to the Zentangle. I really enjoyed inking this Zentangle. Putting the pattern on a spiral gave me somewhere to go with it. The first couple of times I tried henna drum as taught on the creator's blog, with the little extra flourishes and lots of space between the flower shapes, I couldn't get anything to look balanced, and being frustrated about it not being balanced was taking the zen out of everything. But these on the spiral, they just seemed to kind of flow for me. For the shading, I used a 2B graphite pencil around the outside of the pattern and a B for shading those parts inside. The difference is pretty subtle, if it's noticeable at all, but I have this set of graphite pencils that ranges from 5H to 6B, and I'm trying them out here and there to see if I can teach myself to use them more effectively. A final thing I want to accomplish with this voiceover is promote my other stuff on the web. I'm working on a few different projects at the same time that you may or may not find interesting, but I don't want to just assume that if you're watching these videos, you're not also interested in those other things. First is my website, emilycease.com. Everything that I've blogged for the last couple of years is published there. There's a lot of health-related stuff there, including the couple of years leading up to doctors finding my brain tumor, where I was misdiagnosed with fibromyalgia. It's not what you'd call lighthearted reading, but I do think my story resonates with a lot of patients, particularly women, who've had to fight really freaking hard to get doctors to listen to them. Most of that story you'll find under the topics fibromyalgia and brain tumor. I'm also writing a serial memoir titled Who You Gonna Believe. My narcissistic ex-husband thinks it's about him, but really it's about how being married to a compulsive liar taught me not to put up with and how applying that take no philosophy to medical appointments probably saved my life. At the moment, it's only available to my Patreon supporters, but a $1 pledge gets you access. Also, every once in a while, I run promos where I make all of the existing chapters of Who You Gonna Believe available to the public for a limited time. I'll probably be doing one around my birthday in March if money's tight for you or if you just want to see what it's like before becoming a patron. And then last, I just want to plug my Twitter and Instagram. Maybe tied with my blog, I'd say that Twitter is where you'll find or where you'll get the most complete picture of who I am. I don't edit myself there much, and I tweet about whatever I feel like. Some health stuff, some political stuff, some day in the life type stuff. On Instagram, it's mostly pets and Zentangles. So, find me on both of those platforms and say hi so I can be sure to follow you back. Okay, and as you can see, I've attempted a little watercoloring on this tile. I know next to nothing about watercolor, except that I like the way it looks when other people do it. The tile I'm using here is one from a bundle I got on Amazon, and it says it's good for dry and wet media, including watercolors, but it really doesn't take long for water to start chewing up this paper, so I don't recommend it for that. It is excellent for micron ink though. It's fine-toothed and the pen glides across the tile for smoother lines as opposed to more textured tiles. And now we're reaching the portion of the program where my camera batteries die. So I'm going to put the tile on this cute teddy bear and say thanks for coming to my Tangle Talk. Izzy has graciously volunteered to lead us in the benediction.